Kenny Albert, and Kenny, may I be the 10 millionth person to laud your brilliance of not only taking a phenomenal moment that will live forever in 2 games and enhancing each of them with your brilliance. Congratulations on that and to them.
Well, Steve, I really appreciate it. Great to be with you as always, and it was such an exciting time in Milan. The entire 3-week stretch that I was there, 24 games in 18 days, a bit of a whirlwind. But to have the 3 key games go to overtime down the stretch, the U.S. men in the quarterfinal against Sweden, and then both gold medal games on the men's and the women's side, just incredible.
What was it like for you to get to at least know somewhat some of the women's players on that team? Hillary Knight, and, of course, the young lady that's here at Penn State that's playing so well still right now, Tessa Janicki, among others, because you know a lot of the NHL players. What was it like to get to know the women's team? Right.
Well, I've been so fortunate to be involved in the women's Olympic hockey now since 2002. I called the gold medal game in Pyeongchang in 2018, so I have gotten to know some of them. Kendall Coyne-Schofield, for example, I've actually worked some games with her on the NHL side with NBC back 5-6 years ago. Know a couple of the others, and then attending practice sessions early on before the Olympics started. Got to spend some time with a bunch of them. So it's a great group of people, and obviously tremendous athletes, and so much fun to watch and be a part of those games.
The Women's Frozen Four is going to be here at Penn State coming up. I believe you worked a Women's Frozen Four, and you worked with Ellen Hughes. Is that right?
That is correct. Back in 2004, we worked a Women's Frozen Four together in Providence. She was the analyst in the booth with me, and the great Dave Starman, who's the radio color analyst for the New York Rangers and has been the preeminent hockey college analyst over the last 2 decades. He was our sideline reporter that game and handles all the interviews. So I've known Ellen for a long time, back when she was Ellen Weinberg, before she was married to Jim Hughes. We had a mutual friend back in the early 90s that introduced us, and it was a lot of fun working that Women's Frozen Four with her, and we've kept in touch since then, and it's a great family and so happy for their success. And Ellen was a part of the women's team. She was one of the player development coaches in Milan with the women's Olympic team, and she played at a very high level back in the early 90s. She was on the national team in 92. They did not have women's hockey in the Olympics until 98, but she played with Cami Granato and a lot of those players who went on to win gold in 98 when she was on the national team in 1992.
So what's it been like knowing that somebody that you know, somebody that you've worked with, and to see your 2 sons, Jack and Quinn, play such critical roles in what the U.S. did? What was that like for you, almost a full circle moment for you?
Yeah, it really was, and it's like I said, it's such a great family, and their third son, Luke, of course, plays for the Devils as well. Yeah. So I followed their careers and met them a couple of times before their NHL careers got underway. But when you look at what they did for this United States squad, Quinn scoring the overtime goal against Sweden, Jack scoring the overtime goal against Canada. They've gone on Saturday Night Live, the Tonight Show since then, so it's been a bit of a whirlwind, but very happy for them and the entire U.S. team.
Something that I also found that was outstanding is that you and Eddie Olczyk and Brian Boucher, and then, of course, Catherine Tappan as well, the United States may be playing, but you call the game. How important is that to you that you call the game and it's not a we or us situation?
Right. I mean, for us, for Catherine and I, it was game 20 between the men. So I was just another game. I looked at it as the broadcast. And, obviously, the gold medal game. 1 second.
And
back here a little bit, that was in Milan, but.
And we apologize. Kenny's been breaking up a bit. If we could maybe call him back, or at least talk to him for a second, call him back and get him back on the line. That way we can hear his thoughtful answers and get that taken care of. So I apologize.
Will do. Yeah,
and I know he apologized. He can't control
Yeah,
we can't
we'll give him a
control
call
that
back
part
on
of
a
it, of course.
different line, Steve. All right.
But we'll take care of that because they've already jumped back into the NHL season here. We're talking about what was the incredible run by both the United States women and the men. And Kenny talking about calling 3 overtime goals. The Quinn Hughes goal to beat Sweden, the goal to beat Canada in the women's final, and, of course, the Jack Hughes goal on that Sunday morning to win the Olympic gold medal for the United States on the men's side. You get fortunate when you get opportunities like that, but Kenny's earned all these opportunities because of the great work he does in every sport. If you ever hear Kenny call baseball, he's great. You hear him call football, he's great. You hear him call basketball, he's great. You hear him call hockey, he's great. And what struck me, and I'm going to get into this with him in a few moments here once we do get him back, is to because I'm watching the NHL returns, and I'm watching TNT that night. And, first game back, I think it was the L.A. Kings. I want to say the Vegas Golden Knights. And he and Eddie Olczyk are doing the game. I'm thinking, man, they got to be so tired right now doing all that. So we'll get him back here on the line here in just a few moments to talk about that and talk to him about the season and what's left now for the NHL and about, maybe some momentum that is built up.
I think
we
should have him back for you,
to do
Steve.
all of that. It's just it was breaking up so much. I just don't think anybody could really hear the answer he was giving at the time, and that's why I made the move I did to say, hey, let's call him back and see if we can get him back on the line because he may have just been in a bad cell spot at the time, which I completely understand, and he's been such a great friend to the show. Every time we've asked him to do something, he does it, and we asked him to do this. And Kevin was the one that set it up. He came back on and he did this, and jumped back in for us to talk to him.
We should have him back for you, Steve.
We apologize about the fact that it broke up at that particular point, and we are working to get him back on the line to talk about what he experienced in Milan and what he experienced since. And I believe we have him back on. And, Kenny, thanks so much for hanging with us. I really appreciate you coming back on.
My pleasure, Steve. And it's not even the cell phone. I'm on a landline, so I'm not sure what happened there. But sorry about that.
That's okay. What amazed me was that, and, you have a job to do, and you've always been somebody that you will work the hours. But the first game back on TNT, and I'm watching the game that night. I want to say it was the second half of a doubleheader. It was the L.A. Kings in Vegas, and you and Eddie are out there doing the game again. What was that like, bouncing right back into the NHL right after that?
Well, first of all, we had a bit of a travel issue because of the snowstorm in the Northeast. So I was supposed to come home on Monday to New Jersey and then fly back out to Los Angeles on Tuesday, but we found out over the weekend about the snow in the east, so it turns out so they were able to get us on a flight to Atlanta on Monday from Milan. That was 10 hours, so I had all my bags with me, never went home. Eddie was able to get on that same Atlanta flight. He got home to Chicago for a night. And then we both flew to L.A. on Tuesday, so it was definitely a bit of a whirlwind. Took a little bit of time, once that game started in L.A. Who knows what time zone our body was in. We had traveled 9 time zones to get all the way from Milan to L.A., plus the excitement of the gold medal game. And, here we were back. Obviously an important game for the Kings and the Golden Knights, but it probably took us a couple of minutes to get into that one right at the start.
Yeah, no, and anybody would understand that. Look, there have been celebrations of this everywhere. Olympians have been introduced at every single arena. Look, hockey is a great sport. You love it. I love it. How interested are you to see what kind of bump this gets and whether the bump is sustainable?
Well, hopefully, Steve, it does carry over, and we have the playoffs right around the corner. The NHL is now promoting the silver trophy. Everybody was going for the gold in Milan, and now it's the silver Stanley Cup coming up over the next couple of months. But, I'm old enough to remember I was 12 years old in 1980, so I remember the increase in kids playing hockey at local rinks after the U.S. team won the gold in Lake Placid in 1980, and the television ratings, it was the Islanders and the Flyers in the final that year, and that series certainly had a lot of interest. The last game was on CBS, and they got great ratings. So, hopefully we'll see more of the same following the Olympics in Milan with all of the excitement around the U.S.
Yeah, well, that was the Bobby Nystrom goal, right? In overtime, if I remember. And that won it for the Islanders that year. So how do you view where the NHL is in terms of depth in this particular year? Do you like the depth of the league to this point?
I do. I think you look at the West, and there are so many strong teams. You have Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, all in one division. Unfortunately, one of those teams will be knocked out in the first round, and the other one most likely in the second round. I think the East is pretty wide open. There are probably 8 or 10 teams who feel like they can go far in the playoffs. So I think the depth is something that, if you're a hockey fan, you have to be so excited heading into the playoffs because you probably feel that your team can go a long way in 15 or 20 cities.
Yeah, in fact, the Golden Knights made a deal. They picked up Nick Dowd, who's the captain of the Capitals. They picked him up today. Have you been surprised that there haven't been as many trades to this point?
I know we're starting to see a couple. Mackenzie Weegar went from Calgary, Utah last night, and then today we've seen Nick Waugh go from Toronto to Colorado. You mentioned Nick Dowd going from Washington to Vegas. So I think it'll, that's the start of it, and I think we'll see a lot more over the next 16 to 18 hours with the deadline coming up tomorrow.
I actually saw the Rangers play in person about a month ago. I saw them down in Pittsburgh against the Penguins. We know they have struggled. Why have they struggled, since you're so familiar with the Rangers situation?
I think a big part of it, and you don't want to make excuses, every team has injuries, but they've had some major injuries this year to key players. Vinny Trocheck, a Pittsburgh native, his name's certainly been thrown around over these last couple of weeks. Was a member of the gold medal winning U.S. team. He got hurt opening night and missed 14 games. And he's a huge part of this roster, second line center and does so much. So that was a huge loss right at the beginning of the season, and they wound up getting shut out in a number of home games and couldn't really get off to a good start. But that kind of messed up everything as far as the rotation, the lines. With him out, that was a key loss. J.T. Miller was injured in training camp, and he wasn't at his best for the first half of the season. And then you lose Adam Fox and Igor Shesterkin for the entire month of January into early February. So they really never had their full roster together. The scoring was certainly an issue early on, and now they announced that they're in this retool. So we'll see what moves might be made over the next day as well. But it's been a tough go as far as injuries to key players.
Yeah, because the game I went to, Shesterkin did not play in goal. He was still out. He was hurt. It was Jonathan Quick that was between the pipes, the game I went to last month. College hockey obviously is of great interest here. In fact, they had 74,000, almost 75,000 here to see Penn State play Michigan State in an outdoor game. Gavin McKenna is a guy that a lot of NHL people are looking at. Is the college game doing more to help out the NHL of developing some younger stars and then can make the move eventually to the big league?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. You look at the Olympic team and how many of those players played collegiately, even if it was for only 1 year. Yep. Jack Eichel at BU, Brady Tkachuk at BU, right on down the line, Quinn Hughes at Michigan, and so many others. So I think the college game, whether those superstars stay for 1 or sometimes even 2 years, it's a huge part of their development.
For young broadcasters, if I were to bring you into a broadcasting class and they have an opportunity to announce the big moment, how important is it to remain like it's play-by-play, it's ad-lib, and to be in that kind of moment and not think about it ahead of time?
It's interesting with those 3 overtime games that I talked about. The U.S. went over Sweden, and then the 2 gold medal games on the women's and the men's side. You can never prepare for the goal, right? Because it could be so many it could be scored in so many different ways. You know, the thing about 3-on-3 is you tend to get a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2, which ends most of the games when it's 3-on-3. Yep. In 5-on-5 hockey, so many goals during the course of the season might be a deflection, you know, a redirect off the forward stick, off a defenseman's skate. So sometimes you're not sure who scores that goal.
Right.
So from a play-by-play standpoint, I was actually happy that it was 3-on-3 because I knew we would probably have clean goals and you wouldn't have an issue identifying the goal scorer. Yeah, as far as the part of the call that comes after the goal call, I'm not one to really script something out.
No.
I don't write out a couple of sentences at the end of a Stanley Cup final, for example, or a gold medal game, but you do have some thoughts in your mind because you don't want to go into it totally blind. For example, when the Tampa Bay Lightning won the Cup in 2021 and I was on the call for NBC, that day I was throwing around some phrases, and they had won the year before, so I wound up using lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning won their second straight Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
When it was the Golden Knights 2 years later, I said the silver trophy to the Golden Knights with a play on their nickname and the color of the Stanley Cup. So with the Olympic gold medal games, you know, I was trying to think of a word or a phrase that I might want to incorporate if the U.S. won. So when Jack Hughes scored the goal, again, you can't script the goal because it could be scored in so many different ways. But after I called the goal, and then I referred to it as the golden goal, which some of the broadcasters, Mike Emmerich, Chris Cuthbert, you know, did brilliantly back in 2010 when Sidney Crosby scored for Canada.
Yep.
Then that third line I had given some thought to, and I said for the first time since the 1980 miracle, the United States takes the gold. And I felt it was important to acknowledge the 1980 team and that it was the first time in 46 years for the United States men.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. I laughed about when you talked about the goals. There was a season at Penn State where Larry Johnson went over 2,000 yards. And and he broke several records during the year. Every single time he broke a record, it was on either a touchdown run or a 40-yard run. He made my job so easy. There was no guesswork as to whether he broke the record on the play or not. So
now, in football, you know, as you know, you could have an instance where he goes over 2,000 yards, but then he loses yardage on the next play, right?
Yes, exactly.
So he could actually break the record twice.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So you're like, okay, but you got to give Jack Hughes credit, and you got to give Larry Johnson credit. They made our jobs easier because there was no.
And
doubt
by the
about
way,
it.
Don't forget about Connor Hellebuck and the game he had, because without Connor Hellebuck, the U.S. doesn't win that game. But
okay.
No, you're right. The Quinn Hughes goal. I mean, the Quinn Hughes goal, that could have been, you know, he took that shot from up top, and there was some traffic around the net, so that could have been deflected. Yeah. It wasn't, which was good for the goal call. But the Megan Keller goal and the Jack Hughes goal, there was no doubt about it as far as who scored. Right. Whereas if that were in regulation, it could have been a deflection. And the other thing is, if that gold medal game, for example, ended 5-1, then nobody's really talking about the call because it wasn't that abrupt ending, the overtime goal to win the gold medal. Right.
And one quick note about Connor Hellebuck. The day after the game when I was doing the show, I said on that day, that particular day, I said Connor Hellebuck was the single best hockey player in the world. Was that fair?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You think about the breakaways, McDavid and Celebrini, and the saves he made on Taves, McKinnon. It was incredible to watch.
Kenny, congrats on more than meeting the moment. It'll be played forever because they earned it, you earned it, and we thank you, as always, for the time you gave us today.
Thanks, Steve. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we can do this again soon.
Sounds great, Kenny. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
The great Kenny Albert, one of the absolute best in the business, and he just showed in Milan why he is, and it's in any sport. You can put Kenny on anything, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, other sports. He'll meet the moment. All right, we'll come back. More in a moment. This half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury, here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Hi, folks. Art Thomas here with today's history lesson. Over the past 50 years, MECTEC Incorporated has helped the Susquehanna Valley grow into the place we all love to live, work, and play in. Our body of survey work includes as-built utility plans for the Susquehanna Valley Mall from its inception through all its expansions, boundary survey of the Monroe Marketplace Shopping Center, and subdivision and municipal plan approval coordination for the Hummel Station Power Plant. Additionally, we regularly complete subdivisions and topographic surveys, residential boundary surveys, and commercial ALTA surveys. We provide construction stakeout services and complete elevation certificates for property owners in the floodplain. Scott Schambach, professional land surveyor, a MECTEC employee since 1998, has been managing all land survey work at MECTEC since 2018. Need a survey? Give Scott a call today, and he will be glad to help you with your surveying project. MECTEC Incorporated, building on a solid foundation.
You lather, rinse, moisturize, repeat, and repeat. But it never feels like enough. It's not your products. It's your water. Hard water leaves a mineral residue that clogs pores and dries out hair. Culligan water softeners remove damaging minerals, revitalizing brittle hair and dry skin. Upgrade your shower and skincare routine with Culligan. Water you love.
Call Culligan of North Central Pennsylvania today for all your water treatment needs and set up a free in-home water test with a water professional that knows the water where you live. Culligan of North Central Pennsylvania. Call 1-800-788-1978. That's 1-800-788-1978. Or visit them online at callculligan.com. That website again is callculligan.com. Culligan. Better water, pure and simple.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WALK5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WALK5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code WALK5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank.
Spring, the season of sunshine, and our HVAC system having a total meltdown.
Nothing says welcome warm weather like an air conditioner that wheezes like your Uncle Bob after climbing stairs.
I'll just fix it myself.
The last time you fixed something, we spent a weekend using the fridge as our only source of cool air.
Guess I should just call Bloom Heating.
They do heating oil delivery, HVAC maintenance, and actual professional repairs.
Plus, they have automatic delivery and budget plans.
Stay comfortable all year with Bloom Heating. Reliable home heating oil delivery. Expert HVAC installation, maintenance, and repair without the stress.
Why does Martin Guitar rely on Penteledata's fiber optic network? Just ask Eric Williams, Senior Director of Information Technology.
We've been with Penteledata for a number of years. They were an early provider of high-speed fiber in the Valley. Penteledata has been a terrific partner to help us bridge this tradition of handcrafted excellence with a digital future that modern customers demand and expect from us.
Now that's music to our ears. See what Penteledata's network can do for your business. Call 855-22-FIBER.
This is WKOK
You're listening to
Sunbury.
News Radio 1070 WKOK Sunbury. You can hear us anywhere in the world with the Sunbury Broadcasting Corporation app.
Breaking news, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is out. CBS's Linda Kenyon.
President Trump has posted on social media saying, quote, I am pleased to announce that the highly respected United States Senator from the great state of Oklahoma, Mark Wayne Mullen, will become the United States Secretary of Homeland Security, DHS, effective March 31st, 2026, unquote. The president went on to say that Secretary Noem, quote, has served us well. Trump says Noem will become the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. Noem's tenure has been steeped in controversy over various issues, including the treatment of detainees and the actions of ICE officers. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
On Wall Street, the Dow falls more than 2% on the latest spike in oil prices due to the war with Iran and the uncertainty around the conflict. Stock analyst Gene Peroni.
Oil certainly plays a central role because it affects so many